Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. Hey, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. We've got a pretty awesome episode for you today. We've got Pastor Scott and Meghan joining us today for this episode, and our focus is going to be, we'll get into that later. We don't need to spoil. We're going to keep them hanging on the edge of their seat with our topic. Well, it's probably already in the description anyways, so, I mean, whatever. We're talking about marriage. Welcome to the potluck. Hey guys, it's so good to have you.
Sup?
Thank you and so much.
Yeah.
What did I say earlier?
Welcome so much, thank you.
Welcome so much, thank you. That's Jared's new welcome that he's going to be using for the podcast. Welcome
and
so
Sunday
much,
mornings.
And also Sundays.
Yep. So when he says that Sunday, don't be shocked. Welcome so much, thank you.
And if you are shocked, we're going to know that you don't listen to the podcast.
I might just change the name of the podcast to that. Welcome so much, thank you.
Yeah. We'll probably get more listeners.
That's actually the whole flow of the podcast. We welcome you, then there's so much. And then we say at the end, thank you. Welcome so much, thank you. New Southridge Church podcast coming to you on the second Tuesday of next week.
Yeah. So what's up with the mug, man? It says world's best boss. He's got a coffee cup sitting in front of him. And
yeah. Thanks for setting me up for that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to talk about this. This is the world's best boss mug from The Office. But unlike Michael Scott, I did not have to buy it for myself. One of my employees actually got this for me for Christmas. Pastor Cheryl got me this because she knew that I loved The Office. And then my wife actually set this cup out for me this morning because she also thinks that I am the world's best boss as well.
Yep.
This morning I did.
This morning. But that's how she feels every day before work.
Mm-hmm.
But then she takes the cup away from me after work.
Yeah, as the day progresses.
As the day progresses, she goes, okay, you know what? You get Snoopy.
You made it to 2 o'clock today. Yeah. That's what you should do is just like start putting like the times whenever you take it away from him. So
that would be a fun game.
That would be a lot of writing.
Yeah.
That would be a great way of knowing how you're doing throughout the day, though, is if you start it every day with the world's best boss mug. Yeah. And then like as the day goes by, if it gets taken from you, you go, okay, now I know what I need to work on. Yeah, like
that's so good. So yeah, so today we're actually going to be talking about marriage and the importance of this new ministry focus for us here at Southridge, and that is marriages in general. But I want to get to know y'all because a lot of the times that we see Pastor Scott, it's either up on stage or doing a book club or doing the extra point. A lot of the times whenever we see Meghan, we see her singing up on Sunday morning. You do the communications, all of the communications for us here at Southridge Church. And so we typically see you two in these roles, and y'all are doing a fantastic job. But a lot of the times, most people are not privy to the other dynamic that y'all are married. I get the inside view to this, a window view to this, because I work with y'all every single week, and I get to see how y'all talk to each other, how y'all interact, how y'all champion each other, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But how long have y'all been married?
I don't have my anniversary on my.
Well,
is it 10? Almost 10 years.
This June will be 10 years.
Woo-woo. Awesome. Yeah, 10 years. That's a good milestone. I remember whenever we hit 10 years, and I just wanted to, because a lot of people didn't think like that Erica and I were gonna be like stay together.
Yeah.
We got to 10 years, and I wanted to go and rehash like all these conversations that people had. They were like there was people on our wedding day. My family. I love you guys now, but they were talking to Erica. They're like, Erica, if you don't want to go through this, it's okay.
It's not too late to run.
Man.
I mean, that's just the type of person I was now. But I'm glad that that I don't know. I'm glad that she didn't take him up on that offer. I'm glad that she loved me. But
Shania Twain song.
So y'all been married for You're Still the One I Want to. That one?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I like that. So y'all been married for 10 years. And how long were y'all dating before y'all got married?
Like 3 years? Gosh, that sounds like a long time.
We started dating in February of 2009.
Okay.
We got married in June 2012. So just shy of 3 years.
No, like longer than 3 years.
More than 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, 3
and
months.
4 months.
That's it's now. Were y'all, whenever y'all first met, were y'all attending church? Were y'all saved? No, not saved.
No. That's probably why we dated for so long. Is because the first half of our dating relationship was not even a little rocky. Like, it was boulders.
Yeah, it was not good. We met my senior year of college up in Morgantown, and Megan was up in Morgantown working. We did not know each other, even though we went to the same high school. And so, yeah, we were not saved, and really at that point not even interested in being saved. We were just like living life, and so we were just, our relationship was terrible because we were terrible people, because that's just what happens when you take two terrible people and you put them into a relationship. You get a really terrible relationship. And we didn't know that at the time, but the crazy thing is, because we won't get into all the sloppy, gory, ugly details, like Megan will tell you she had plenty of reason and opportunity to walk away. But even as an unsaved person, she could not figure out why she didn't. Yeah. Almost as if something beyond her was keeping her in this relationship. Because it was ultimately our relationship that both of us ended up in church. Both of us ended up saved, and now here we are.
Yeah.
But, like, she'll still tell you there were times that, like, she didn't even understand, but there was something almost beyond even herself that was keeping her in that relationship. And so we like to think that that was probably God already knowing what he had in store for us and protecting us from ourselves in that moment.
Yeah.
Because, we were joking about this the other day when I think we were talking about past times in our relationship, and it was like I was just not the same person as I am right now.
Oh, yeah.
I was just a disaster of a person, not just for, like, who I was dating, but for my friends, for my family, like, just for myself. I was just a very treacherous person. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's kind of the short version of our dating story. But, yeah, it did not start out good.
Yeah. It's crazy, like, how you had, like, this almost kind of like this, how do you explain it? It's like almost like a draw. It's like a moth to a flame almost. Like, it's like you couldn't get away from it. It's like, I'm constantly staring into the light, and I'm being drawn into this, and it's like whenever you look back on it, you're like, the only way that I can describe it is God. Yeah. Or the Shania Twain song. It's either one of those.
50-50.
But
definitely the Shania Twain song for her. I'm pretty sure that we've duetted that in the car.
No, it wasn't that one. It was the other one. Wait, I don't know. It was the one with Brian White.
I don't know what song.
That was it, I think.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
It was a duet. We used to sing it
From This Moment
On.
On.
From This Moment On. It was that one.
Oh, yeah,
That's the one we duetted in the car a lot.
We would sing that song.
But he always tries to sing my part.
Well, it's more in my range.
It's all good. Well, I mean, that's like I said, I think it's awesome, like, being able to look back on it, and then obviously not being able to understand it, but understanding that it was God, and that's the only understanding that you ultimately need sometimes in situations. Is like, I don't get the whole picture, but God did. He saw the picture. He saw the future of what your lives would be like when and if you were able to exchange this life of a sinner for the life of someone who was redeemed and forgiven of all of those sins. So how do you, I think one of the things that's kind of crazy is, and you don't see it a lot in churches, is that a senior pastor and his spouse actually work together. And if you do see it, you for sure don't see them sharing the same office. How is that dynamic kind of like, are there like healthy boundaries that you like, oh, okay, we gotta talk through some things, because ultimately, like, you're still lead pastor, Scott, whenever you walk through the doors here.
Yes.
And so, like, has that kind of, or in a way, affected the relationship, the marriage at all? Is it something that you've had to like work harder at?
A lot of people have told us, they said there's no way that that they could work with their spouse.
Yeah.
We were uncertain when we started all of this, but have become quite certain that it's actually a really good fit.
Yeah.
Like we do have some boundaries. Megan steps over them constantly when it comes to one. She, guys, here's what you got to understand about Megan, and that was a joke, somewhat. She loves what she does here. Yeah. I've watched her now. We've been in some form of a relationship, dating, engaged, or married since 2008. Actually, the fall of 2008. Yeah. And she's done a lot of stuff in that time. She's worked at hotels. She's been a stay-at-home mom. She's served in every ministry at this church as a volunteer.
She served at other churches.
Yeah, she worked as the secretary at another church while I was pastoring here.
Shout out First Presby.
I mean, she's done
out of business.
She had a photography business that she owned, and she did a great job. She's a really, really good photographer. She sold Arbonne, which was like this health stuff. She sold Pamper Chef at one point. So I've seen her do a lot of stuff. Nothing has she ever been more excited about than what she does here. And so when I say she steps over boundaries, it's because she cannot stop talking about what's going on at this church and what she wants to do to help us accomplish our mission and vision. Yeah. For me, I have a hard stop. When I leave this building, I am trying to check out, because I know ultimately somebody is going to ding my phone within about 30 minutes of me leaving here.
I'm sorry,
and
dude.
It's going to continue most evenings, like all evening long. Yeah. Text here, message here, prayer request here, email here, phone call here, Facebook Messenger, which drives me insane. All of that, I know it. So I have a really hard stop. Whereas like our drive home, because we ride in and home together, she wants to talk about work, and not like how her day was, but like, oh, here's an idea, here's an idea, here's an idea, here's an idea, because she's so excited about what she's doing here. Yeah. And so I think in a lot of ways, from my vantage point, it's really, because most people have said, no, I couldn't work with my spouse. I haven't seen us have any issues with it, to be honest. And this is like, she reports to me, essentially. I have to give her a evaluation the same as any other staff member here at the church. Yeah. I have to have corrective conversations with her, just like anyone else at the church. And so even with all of that stuff that should make it super awkward and hard, I really don't think it is, but I would love to hear.
Yeah, I think he finds it a little too comforting, the corrective conversations that we have. Like, he's totally cool with it.
Well, I mean, he gets to like put your hair behind your ear before he before he has like a difficult conversation. He can't do that with anybody else on staff.
No, definitely not. But no, I mean, I think that we've had it more recently. We've had some discussions at home where I don't know how to turn work off. Mm-hmm. That's just what I have a one-track mind. Everything is on that track. I don't compartmentalize very easily. Mm-hmm. And so whatever just comes to my mind, or whatever's on my mind at the time, is what I want to talk about. And if that's work, then that's work. You need to get over it. And so sometimes for him, that boss mentality bleeds into our personal life. Mm-hmm. Where, it's kind of my fault that I brought work home and I'm discussing work. Yeah. And so we've had to kind of maneuver through that a couple of times, just, in the most recent past. But I mean, it's like, I love working with him. I don't like working in an office with him because he sings off key.
I was doing that this morning.
I heard you.
When I do my sermon prep, my earbuds go in on a worship lit, and as I read and as I study, I'm singing.
Yeah.
And if he's not singing, he's drumming on his wallet.
I've got this baseball bat pen that Landon got me from the Louisville Slugger Museum, and it drums so good on the top of my wallet.
So great.
I don't know, it's so satisfying. And then I was hitting the side of the laptop today to give me a little cymbal action, and they say I heard her over all the music in my ears. Stop! And I just I'm probably horrible to share an office with because I've never had to share an office.
Yeah.
In 10 years of being here, I've never had to share an office with anyone, and so I just get lost though in the music. Like I think even at one point today, Anna was in there with Megan. They were talking, and I'm still doing my thing, and I'm like still singing even though Anna's in there. But I'm trying to sing lower because I don't want Anna to hear me singing because I sing horribly.
I've heard you. It's not that bad. Everybody keeps on saying that you sing bad. But
when
it's not
he
that
tries, he's okay.
But
apparently, I was doing something really weird in the car this morning, and she said, "Why are you singing like that?" I said, "Well, is it worse than my normal singing?" She's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Dang, I thought I was trying to do something cool to improve it, but I guess not." But
no.
we other than like she said, she is so I wish you all could sit with her sometime and find she is so excited about what she's doing here because she just got a new job here at the church. She was my assistant for the first
year and a
half, and now she is the communications director for the church, so a lot of my stuff came back to me, and she's doing this, this new thing, and she's so excited and passionate about it and just the church in general that she can't stop sometimes. And so, the thing that we have to do as married people working together is decide what hat I'm wearing in the moment. And that's probably an area where we struggle and have to get better because sometimes I need to be a husband listening to his wife be excited.
Yeah.
Just completely non-biased and go, oh, that's great. But then my fear is that I said that, and then the next morning she'll show up at a meeting and say that, and I'll go, that stinks. And she'll go, well, you said last night that was great. And so the mixture of the hat sometimes I'll be like, are you talking to your boss, someone you work with right now, or are you talking to your husband? Because then that will let me know which way to
I think I want
respond.
The hybrid most of the time.
Yeah, but she wants the hybrid. She wants me to be the boss that sees her as my wife and separates objectivity, which I don't know that I have that gift. I'm one or the other. If I'm the husband, then okay, I'm going to play the husband role. If I'm going to be, the pastor and the boss role, just that middle ground there doesn't work for me. And so I think that's one of the things that we're learning to
navigate.
To navigate. And honestly, the other thing that I think that we're really trying to figure out is our schedules are so drastically different. Everyone that listened to the Day in the Life podcast, where I shared about kind of what my week looks like. We kept talking about how random it is. I think we're finding some struggles, I think, lining our two schedules up as well, because Megan has a very steady schedule with her role as communications director. She just has to spend a lot of time on her computer. Yeah. And there's just a lot of no, this can't wait till tomorrow type stuff. And mine is so random that I think that's the other thing that we're trying to learn to manage. But honestly, I'm trying to think. She's been doing this since October of 2020. So we're coming up on 2 years this year. So we're about 18 months in, and she's been doing the communications director for about 3 weeks. Yeah, full time, fully
3 or 4 weeks. Yeah,
not full time, but fully. Her whole role is now that, and I'm guessing there's been 3 days where some marriage stuff bled over into the work stuff. So I'm maybe 3 days, and she's better about that. Yeah. Even though she doesn't women don't compartmentalize like men do. In those moments, she was actually way better than me at that. Because if I was frustrated about something at home in the morning, I suck in the office. like as a person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to talk to you. I definitely don't want to sit in the same office as you. And so like there's been like probably 2 or 3 days like that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't think 2 or 3 days out of 18 months is terrible when we're still trying to figure all this out. And not to mention like that first like most like until just recently, she was my assistant.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like she was just doing something that had, like everything that she did pretty much directly affected me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like if she dropped the ball on something, it wasn't like it wasn't like, oh, I didn't send this email for the whole church, I could do it tomorrow or whatever. It was like if my calendar or like, hey, did you message that person? I need you to message that person. And like, so it was like, so for the fact that that was the sort of relationship that we had where everything she was doing, she was essentially doing to serve me in that role, for there only to be maybe less than 3 days that I think that we had some marriage issues spill over from the, the morning of getting kids ready or whatever. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know about her.
Yeah, going on 18 months, that's pretty good for sure. I think, so we heard a little bit about, from Scott about how he has loved seeing you in this new role and how passionate about the new role that you are. And like he alluded to and talked about that, like you're doing an excellent job. And I think it's important to celebrate like those things in people's lives that they are doing, or in your spouse's life that they are doing.
Yeah.
What is something that Scott is doing right now that you want to celebrate? Kind of just maybe bring to light, maybe something that people don't see, because we know that, we all know that he loves his job. We all know that he'll do anything for his family and for you and for his kids, but maybe something like behind the scenes that we can kind of talk about. I don't know if you care for this, but I just want to hear, I want to shed some light on some things that you believe that Scott is doing well. Maybe it could be anything. It could be like he picked up crocheting and, like he learned how to knit a hat or something.
That would be amazing.
That would be really fun.
Yeah.
He didn't pick up crocheting though.
No.
Okay, when he started in ministry, he's kind of moved, you don't want to say up the ladder, but he started as youth pastor, and now he's the lead pastor, obviously. But one of the things that I really love seeing develop in him is just his leadership, not just on stage on Sunday mornings, because for a long time all you ever heard was like, Scott he doesn't look like a very nice person and he doesn't talk very much, but when he gets up on that stage, like there's just something different. But now that is finally starting to it's almost like there's just a switch that flipped inside of him, and he is like, anytime he gets the opportunity or somebody, wants to hear from him on, developing yourself spiritually, your walk with Jesus, what your next steps are. He's done a lot of work in regards to that, reading, listening to sermons, just all kinds of research. Plus, 10 years of ministry helps with that too. But really, I got to sit in on his book club 2 weeks ago. And just hearing him talk to the people that are in his book club, and really not even trying in that moment to be the smartest person in the room. You're just willing to share the information that you have to help those people grow, not to make yourself look better, not to, be like, oh, look at me and how much I know. Or like, hey, I'm super smart, but because a lot of something that I've told him a lot recently was, one of the things, there are certain things about your spouse that either attract you or don't attract you. Right. And so I've told him I can tell when you are confident and when you're not.
Yeah.
And when you are confident, when you look confident, and not that you're better than everybody, but just when you look confident, when you are cool with having just candid conversations with people, or you just want to go up to somebody and hug them, or you're good with having a conversation about leadership or the Bible or relationships or marriage or whatever. You don't have to know it all. You're just willing to have a conversation, sit down and have a conversation with somebody to lead them into a better relationship with whoever or with Jesus, or So that's one of the things that has like been growing in him over the last probably, I think, since COVID. COVID has really kind of transformed him. Not COVID, but like God used COVID because it was God. But I think has really transformed his leadership and the way that he leads the staff. Because he even talked about this a couple weeks ago in our staff meeting. Yeah. Was, about just being able to, actually this was yesterday, just being able to fill up so that you can pour, so that you have something to pour out. Yeah. And I've seen that evident in his life. Yeah. And I think it's really cool because I've seen a lot of different facets of him in ministry. I've seen that, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like a fake. I have no confidence whatsoever to this, like, not that you're the most confident, but that like you just like where you're at with the Lord. You have a firm relationship with him. Like all you want to do is just help other people. Yeah. That's just where it's coming from. That's where it's flowing from. And so that's what I've really loved seeing about him. Yeah, I remember like my first couple years in ministry. It was just I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to get up there and do what I was being asked to do, and then and I'm sure that Erica could like agree with this, is that like the longer that you do something and the longer that you spend time like seeking God and doing those things, like he begins to change you. And it's like it sounds so stinking cliche because we're like, God, he's going to make you into a better person. We say these things, and a lot of the times people don't see that necessarily in their lives, but are they making the steps to do those things? And so like being faithful in your Bible reading, being faithful in praying, being faithful in your worshiping, and just showing up, that's like 95% of like the battle. And whenever we allow God to do that, or just do those things, then God begins to instill confidence. God begins to instill purpose and a plan, and begins to order and direct your steps, and makes it like extremely clear on the things that you're supposed to be doing. Sorry, I got on a little tangent there. So, well, I think too, like it's easy when you're first, whether it's a leadership in any job or specifically ministry here. I think for the first part of your ministry, you are so hell-bent on trying to prove yourself and let people know, like, hey, I'm the real deal. Like, I'm not somebody that doesn't know what I'm doing. I'm not somebody that's like, I'm not an idiot or whatever. But then all of a sudden you just become this person who's out to, like, I don't care how I look. Yeah. I am Jesus to you. Like, I am the hands and feet of Jesus. I'm here to help you. And when that is what is flowing through you, I mean, it is just so beautiful to see.
Well, yeah, especially whenever you see it in like your spouse. Like, I mean, gosh, we're drawn to Jesus and what he did. But if he's doing that in your spouse's life and changing your spouse's like attitude and the way that they carry themselves and the way that they talk in conversation and their mission and their ministry opportunity wherever they are serving, and you see that, you're like, oh my gosh, like Jesus is so beautiful in Erica right now. But so y'all two have actually recently began doing marriage counseling here at the church. Yep. Y'all went through marriage counseling and are still doing it yourselves with some close friends of us here at the church. But y'all are growing together as a couple, and you kind of mentioned it earlier. You can't take anybody where you haven't already been. Right. Yeah. And so y'all two are going through the marriage counseling to begin to have that information. You are now certified. You have your certification to do the counseling here at the church as well. Let's talk a little bit about this. Like, okay, so first off, whenever y'all decided to go to marriage counseling, was that end goal to where y'all were going to get your certification?
So the certification and the process that we've gone through for me to become a certified marriage counselor, Megan's still kind of in the process of that. We've got to get that finished up, but she's still able to help me because I am certified already. We went through a organization called SYMBIS, which stands for Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And so I had to watch a set of videos, take a test, that type of deal.
Yeah.
Because it's a very specific type of marriage counseling.
Yeah.
I don't like saying that okay, I'm a certified marriage counselor. Come to me for anything and everything. I don't think that's necessarily the case. There are people that are have degrees and all that specifically around that. So depending on the situation, that may be the best route for some people is someone that has more education and background on that. So what we did though is, this process, and then at the end of the test that I take, they give me 1 free credit to take the assessment that all the counseling is based off of for Megan and I to take it. And then that gives you the opportunity to practice essentially your counseling on yourself.
Yeah.
But what we did is we took the assessment, the SYMBIS assessment, and then some of our best friends in ministry here in West Virginia are already certified SYMBIS marriage counselors. We had them take us through what it would be like to be the couple being counseled based on our stuff, which was really impactful for us because we had never done any sort of marriage counseling or anything like that. So we sat down at our house one night, had dinner with this couple, and then they took our assessment and they walked us through it.
Yeah.
And it showed us, okay, so when we're doing this with someone else, these are some questions we might ask. These are some areas we might move faster through. This might be places that we settle down and sit and talk longer in. And so we went through the process the way we would know what it was like, but we also did it because we want our marriage to be incredible.
Yeah.
We have a great marriage, but we're, this all kind of happened all around that time that I was preaching the sermon about not stopping and settling. And it was like, we're not going to stop and settle in our marriage, even though we have a good marriage or even a great marriage. Like we want to continue to just get all that God has for us.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's not just, because we could have took this assessment and just the two of us sat down with it and tried to, okay, here's some stuff we learned. But for the fact that we let someone else counsel us for about, 3 hours on a Friday night or something, like our marriage has been benefited by it. Like we're not just going to be able to pour into other marriages. Our marriage was poured into, which ultimately makes us better suited for what God was calling us to do.
Well, and I think too, as Christians, it's really easy. Like in the first part of this assessment, it kind of asks you a series of questions so that they can gauge how you view marriage and like the longevity of it. And I think as Christians, it's really easy to get stuck in that. Well, they call it a resolute mindset, which means doesn't really matter what happens in your marriage, divorce is not an option. Yeah. Obviously, unless it's the biblical grounds for divorce, but we won't go into that. So I think that Scott and I are really good at fighting. Like we're both very passionate people. We're both very intense people. I like to pry. He likes to go away and not talk. And so that kind of friction ends up in a lot of really heated arguments for us. And I'm okay with saying that because we end up resolving our arguments. But a lot of times, especially, because Christians can have that, which is a good thing. Like they have that resolute mindset, but that's it. Like, it's like, we just are resolved that we're not going to get divorced. No matter what happens, no matter how much we fight, no matter how little we communicate with each other, divorce is not an option. And we don't want that for our marriage. Like, I mean,
it's miserable.
Yeah, we fight and we always resolve our arguments, but we want to have a great marriage. Like, we want to know how to not have those certain arguments again. We want to know how to communicate better so that some of these little arguments that turn into big arguments are no longer arguments because they're more important things to argue about than, I never want Mexican.
That's all right.
Which I do actually like Mexican.
That was a fight that we had when we were dating, though, whenever I was a scumbag. So
we won't go into it.
I'll tell that story when I'm preaching sometime.
Yeah.
He
has before.
I told it a while ago, but I don't think I've re-upped it in a while.
Yeah. It's a good one.
But it was a pretty good fight that we had when we were dating, when I told Megan she didn't ever want to go to Mexican
You're telling the story.
Which is funny because we always want to go to Mexican restaurant. Love Mexican. Now our kids are hooked on cheese dip too. So like so it wasn't even true. But either way, I'll save the full longer story for some other time. So this process though, I do want to go through what it is.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
the way
I would love to do that because it gives kind of like a window into what you can expect, and because a lot of times it's like if you're going into something blindly, like anxiety and worry is just it really hits you like a truck. And if we can talk about this a little bit and what people can expect and realize that this is just a tool to be able to help you out, and this is not something that's going to help cause division, but actually bring it closer, like your relationship.
A couple of things to preface before I get into the overview of the thing. First off, Pastor Cheryl and Anthony have also completed this as well. So they are also SYMBIS certified and ready to begin to take couples through this material as well. Our goal is to continue to add more people to do this because Meghan and I, as much as we would love to be able to do everyone, the week that we launched this and since then, which has only been since February, I think we're up to like 8 couples that we've got to work through this with. 8 couples, and that's a minimum of 3 hours per couple.
Yeah.
And so with a church our size, if people would see the benefit in this, we're going to need more and more people to do this because it's really important. Like, this is not for just for marriages that are like on the edge of divorce.
Yeah.
This will definitely help that. But if you're on the edge of divorce, a professional marriage counselor that's been to school and done clinical hours and things like that is probably what we're doing here will help marriages that are maybe not great to become better. But this can also take good marriages and make them great. So this is not just for people that are in trouble by any means. This is good maintenance, and that you could actually retake this probably a couple times over the span of many years, because all it's meant to do is to facilitate really good conversations that most couples are not having.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of the SYMBIS setup. So the first thing so what happens is...
So is it just 1 3-hour session?
No. You can design it however you want it.
Okay.
You can do 1 3-hour like mega session. I do not want to do that.
No, it's like drinking from a fire hose.
I will do that if that's like if couples nowadays are super busy. They're like, look, I've got one Friday in the next 3 months. Let's just knock it out. We'll do it for you because we want. This is all about serving people.
Yeah.
But our preference is 3 1-hour sessions. Mm-hmm. You can also even slow it really, really far down and do 5 1-hour sessions or 5 45-minute long sessions. It won't go any past 5.
Yeah.
If things need more steps after 5, then we're probably going to refer you to a licensed counselor at that point. So the overview of this, though, is both parties, the husband and wife, will get an email to go to this assessment. You pay $35 for the assessment. If you're a
per couple?
Per couple.
Okay.
So just $35 total for the couple. If you're a regular attender of Southridge Church, Meghan and I do this for you at no charge to you whatsoever.
Yeah.
If you're not a regular attender of Southridge Church, we will still do this for you, but because it is above and beyond what the church is asking us to do, there is a small hourly fee for it. But again, we're here to serve people, so even that's negotiable because we don't care so much about the money as we do trying to help marriages be successful. So what you get in the assessment is a list of questions that essentially are going to identify some different areas of your life that we're going to have conversations about. The first thing that you'll fill out is just an About Us page, and so it will walk through all the information that Meghan and I would need to know. Who you are, how old you are, ethnic background,
family history,
religion, employment status, talks a little bit about your family of origin, tells us about your relationship. This is also designed for premarital counseling as well. So if you're doing this as preparation for a wedding, this is the section also that we would get to talk about your ceremony and what you want from me if I'm the one doing your ceremony, and when's the date, where do I need to be, and all of that. So there's some wedding planning in that for premarital couples as well. The next section you see what's called your overview, and that tells you your marriage momentum. This will tell you, based on all the questions that you answered, how high of marriage momentum you have, how healthy your marriage is or could be. And then you see the overview of the 4 different sections that we will walk through in specifics. The first one, as Megan talked about, was the mindset. Our mindset that we come into marriage with is incredibly important. The next one is our well-being. This is where we deal with any sort of caution flags that we have about ourselves going into a relationship that we need to talk about, but also our own self-concept. Our self-concept, our self-image, how we see ourselves actually is very important in how we interact with other people.
Yeah.
And so if I can learn more, the whole process of Symbis is learning more about me and learning more about my spouse or future spouse, because the better I understand me, the better I understand her, the better then we can have relationships, because now I can have grace for these things that are shown to me here. I can have grace for some of the things that I know, find out about Megan through this process, and she can have grace for me. And so that's well-being. Context, the section on context is all about the baggage that you bring into relationships. Ooh. This is our families, this is our past, things like that. And then the other is dynamics, which has to do with our personalities and the way that we deal with different situations. So more specifically, so when you get to the mindset, there are 5 different mindsets that you can have in marriage. You can have the resolute, like Megan was talking about, where these are people that when you think of marriage, you think of the permanency only. You are, when I get married, it's for life. Yeah. Then you have a rational mindset. That's people that see marriage as this is just the rational thing to do. It makes sense. We want to have a family together, so let's do it. There's a romantic mindset, and those first 3 are all very strong mindsets, perfectly fine mindsets to have. The romantic mindset is your I've been dreaming of this since I was a little girl. I cannot love, marriage is about love, and he completes me and she completes me, and all lovey-dovey and all that. All 3 of those are fine. Then you get to the restless and reluctant mindset.
Yeah.
If those were to show up on an assessment, we would have to spend quite a bit of time here, because you do get some people in the reluctant mindset that they go, I never wanted to be married, but here I am.
Oh, yeah.
That's not, there are people that get married in that. Yeah. That's not a great starting point, but it may be a realistic starting point. So just because you have a reluctant mindset doesn't mean that you're not going to get married. It just means that we have to sit down and have some conversations. Yeah. And then what the Symbis does is it talks about how those 2 mindsets that you have. So in the test one that they gave us, this guy is resolute, she's romantic. How do these come together to help you form your concept of marriage? Yeah. The next thing that it goes through is the well-being, your personal well-being, which deals with our self-concept, how we see ourselves. How confident am I? Yeah. Do I have any image issues I need to be aware of? It talks about our maturity. There is inherent within all relationships that if you are over the age of 25 when you get married, that puts you in an optimal zone for getting married. It doesn't mean people under 25 shouldn't get married, but it just shows that statistically 24 and under, you're at a higher divorce rate than people that are a little bit more mature and get married after 25. The next one that comes in is your independence from your family of origin. This talks about is there any unresolved issues with mom and dad or anything back at home that you might be carrying into this? Or is it hey, you still are over at mom and dad's house and you're 28 years old every single night of the week and they're the only people is there going to be some hardship of trying to shift your loyalties from your family of origin to this new person that you're now starting a new family with, who is now your priority? And so it talks some about that, and then
which is a real thing, by the way.
Oh yeah,
it is.
Because I went through it.
Yeah.
I went through it whenever we were living in Texas, and we moved to Alabama. The best thing that could have ever happened for me was having that distance, because yes, I do love and appreciate my mom and my dad tremendously. They've helped me out in numerous situations.
Yeah.
And I still call and ask I call my dad and I call my mom all the time. But I needed to be able to rely more on the opinion and the answers that my wife needed to give me instead of those that I was looking for in my parents.
Yep.
And it wasn't like I was trying to be disrespectful. I just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And so like I needed that distance to where I could begin to rely more on Erica and not mom and dad.
Yeah, it's a hard process for a lot of people. The next section in that is your caution flags. So this is where you will self-identify whether you struggle with anger, anxiety, depression, addiction of any sort, stress, an eating disorder, body image, suspicions, sexual promiscuity, problematic online activity like pornography, physical illness, abuse between parents in your family of origin, abuse by someone else, current abuse, annoying habits, or unrealistic expectations. So
Yeah.
you will get to check all of those that apply, and then we get to have those healthy conversations about those things. Because I promise you, in our relationship, as someone that deals with anxiety, if Megan doesn't fully understand that, then she's going to have a hard time being a good wife to me.
Yeah.
And that's been a struggle in our marriage, is because my anxiety, even though it was probably present the whole time we knew each other, we just didn't really find out about it until something kind of broke loose about 6 years ago. And all of a sudden, now she's been married to someone for 4 years who is now a drastically different person. And now she has to come to understand what it means to be in a relationship with someone with a mental health issue like anxiety. And so when you're in the, pre-marriage stage, those are great conversations to have.
For sure.
Well, and I will preface with this assessment, it digs. It digs.
It does.
When it comes to these caution flags, when it comes to like other things about your, whether it's premarital or your marriage, like you have to be willing to be very vulnerable and transparent when it comes to talking about your marriage or just your relationship in general and what your life is like or has been like or what your expectations are. Because if you are not comfortable with talking about, just think about everything that is encompassed in marriage and just know that is what you're going to be talking about. And if you're not comfortable talking about that with other people, then that's kind of a caution flag to those people or your spouse, your future spouse, that's going to be a really sore subject or a difficult area of conversation.
Yeah. It's just like, it's good to have those conversations, questions about faith, and what does their faith look like? Are they going to be a volunteer at the church? Are they going to, are they going to tithe to the church? And it's like one of the takeaways from your recent sermon. It's like, is this person going to lead me into a closer relationship with Jesus Christ? Like, these are good questions to have. Like, Erica and I did a premarital counseling. It wasn't anything nowhere near to this, but I'm super grateful that we did, because we had conversations about things that we needed to have conversations about. And it brought up questions like, how are we going to raise our kids? What do we, how do we think politically? How do we think religiously? And like all these different things. But because of the conversations that we have, it prevented a lot of these big things from blindsiding us.
Yeah.
Because they're huge things that need to be addressed and talked about. Not like it's like a bad thing. It's just like, hey, we need to get on the same page. Because if this is something that we are serious about, then we need to make sure that we are on the same page. Like is Scott opposed to spanking kids? Like if they get bad, or if you are, or like if you're a proponent of it, like those types of things. Like, I'm not saying like that's the current situation, but that type of situation can be like a major division point in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so, but like covering stuff like this and talking about like deep-seated issues, kind of bringing into light maybe some things that you're struggling with, or maybe self-image or something that, I don't have confidence, like because of the way I look, or I don't do this way because of this, like, and having those conversations before you.
It's super healthy.
It is. It's super healthy.
If your spouse or future spouse self-identifies on here as having body issues, then there are certain things that you can do to help alleviate that. There are
Yeah.
also other things that you can do because men, we have a tendency to say the wrong thing quite often.
Yep.
That can really exacerbate that.
Yep.
And so that's why it's important to know that. To know that if I know that my spouse struggles with a healthy body image, then I know my role as a husband is to help build that up.
Yeah.
And to be very, very careful to never damage that.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
so, but that gives you that mindset that you may not be aware of that. You may have a wife that you think she's the most confident woman I've ever seen, but maybe deep down inside she has these issues, and y'all never had the chance to talk about it. And maybe every time you mention so and so on TV being gorgeous, you're wounding her, and you don't even know that you're wounding her because that plays on this thing deep within her that you're unaware of. That's what this helps dig out, which is so helpful. So it goes on when it talks about context. I said was the baggage. It talks about, do you have support from friends and family in your relationship? Do you have a good relationship with your in-laws or your future in-laws?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a network of mutual friends that both of you enjoy? Because you're no longer a you. You're no longer like just a
individual.
me.
Yeah.
I'm now a we.
Yeah.
Like it's our friends. Do we have support from a faith community? And so that's really important. The next section is everyone's least favorite normally. It's finances.
Oh yeah.
It's finances. It talks about whether you're a saver or a spender. There's no wrong answers on this. It's just what you are.
Yeah.
And so then it talks about your money style, budgeting skills, financial fears, and debt. How do you deal with that? And then there's a bunch of great money talks that can come as the result.
Yeah, this is just the assessment, and it gives you talking points on things that you need to have conversations about.
And then you have this for the rest of your marriage. So if you ever have to go back and relearn about your spouse, it's such a gift. Like this next thing I thought was brilliant. It's called expectations, the expectation section. And it's like almost everything that you would imagine that goes on in a household. And it lets you say who did it in your family of origin. So like in this example here, paying bills and handling finances. I say whether I watch my mom or dad do that.
Yeah.
And then I say my expectation, who should do that in the home. And then wherever the two of you do not agree, then it says there's a section we need to decide on as a married couple, who's going to do the dishes. Because whatever ends up there means that whatever Meghan identified as like, hey, I think Scott should do this, at the same time I identified that same thing as I think Meghan should do this.
Yeah.
And so it gives you like this stuff, like who's going to take out the trash?
Yeah.
These are things that you don't ever think about whenever you're going to go start a new family. Like who's responsible for the auto maintenance? Who goes and gets the oil changes? Who is going to stay home with the kids? Who's going to do the yard work?
Yeah.
And all these, and it gives you this. So this is like a game plan that literally you can put up on the fridge and go, all right, this is what we agreed to.
Like a chore chart for adults.
It really
Yeah.
is. But how practical is that?
Yeah, it is.
For
To
sure.
go, hey, my wife said that she'll do the grocery shopping, but she expects me to do the cooking. At least I know now.
Well, because
Well,
if
the
not,
expectations are set.
Yeah.
you have to do what we do, which is, okay, Scott does the laundry and the yard work because I hate doing laundry with every fiber of my being.
Yeah.
And I will do the rest of the house, which, you know, if you saw our house right now, you'd be like, Megan, what do you do?
But that's something we learned the hard way because
Yeah.
we didn't have
Yeah.
this.
There was
Yeah.
a lot
We
of
learned,
nagging.
okay, Megan hates laundry. I like laundry. Why? Because I'm lazy.
And because he can
I
sit
can
and watch
sit on the
TV.
couch and watch TV and do laundry.
Yeah, while it's working.
So I don't mind doing the laundry. Megan just hates doing the laundry.
Yeah.
So she said, I will take care of the rest of the house if you will do all the laundry every week. Okay. We're set. And
Did y'all shake hands on it?
No, but
Oh,
it's been,
okay.
I mean, we've been doing this for
Couple years.
a couple years at least. And like I take care of the yard by paying someone to take care of the yard. I do not like mowing grass. It's a big deal. But this chart right here is so helpful.
Yeah.
The next thing it gets into is if you are doing a blended family
Yeah.
for like a second marriage with involving kids, has a whole section on that, which is just most people just jump back into marriage without ever having those conversations. That can be super helpful. The next one, the dynamics. This is your personality. It's based on things like the DISC assessment and different things like that. When you understand your partner's personality, it will help you understand them better.
Yeah.
It gets into different dynamics about how you solve problems, how you influence others, react to change, things like that. Just great conversations.
Yeah, it seems like this is seems like this would be absolute perfect for engaged couples
Yes.
before they got married. It seems like it would be perfect for people like to do it before they had kids.
Yep.
To do it for like to go through it again, like maybe say 7 to 10 years after they've had kids, and then do it whenever their kids are about to start leaving, and then do it once they're empty nesters, because there's so many different phases of relationships, and there's things that change. Obviously, the addition of kids, if you don't have any already, and then you're adding kids to the family, like there's a dynamic shift that happens, and it is a major one. It is a good shift, but like you now have to tend to the needs of somebody else that is completely helpless, at least for the first 5 years of their life before they become a little bit self-sufficient, you know. But it's just the big dynamic changes. So it's not just like a one and done process. And I want to,
it's good for a lot of different times. I mean, it starts in the pre-marriage stage, but I find it to be useful for any couple that wants to have a better marriage.
Well, and two, we had premarital counseling before we got married, and nothing to or against the person that did our premarital counseling, but the one thing, and this is so odd, but the one thing that I remember from that premarital counseling was he was told that I was a spender and that he needed to be okay with that.
And she loved that.
I loved that, obviously. So
and she lived up to it.
And to this day, I am a spender through and through. But that is, there's so many things that we really should have talked about, and we really should have talked through before we got married. And this tool is really helpful. It's helpful now, and we've been married for 10 years almost. So, really just kind of helped us learn about each other a little bit more, because I think in the heat of an argument, you can show a person how you really are, or you can tell them what you really want out of some, in particular. But in the heat of an argument, they're going to say, oh, well, you're just saying that because it plays to your benefit.
Yeah.
When you're doing an assessment like this, it really shows that person, your spouse or your future spouse, how you are. And so when it comes to a disagreement or a communication error, they can know, okay, they're being very genuine in this moment. And so it's a super helpful tool, regardless of where you're at.
Yeah, because I've been doing weddings for upwards of 8 years now, and anyone that I marry, I require to go through counseling. So I was doing a version of counseling that I really didn't like. I just kind of made it up. I got some documents from a former mentor and just kind of started going at it. And I don't know how helpful it ever was. And when I came across this, I was like, this is what I've been missing in my ministry. And so just to do a quick wrap up on what the other areas that you will cover in this, it does talk about how both of you see love. And how you define love. And once you know that about your spouse, then you're able to better show them love, not in how you want to receive love, but in how they want to receive love.
Yeah.
It does talk about sex, which can be awkward for some folks, but it doesn't have to be, because let's be honest, that's one of the best parts of being married. I mean, God gave sex as a gift, and so you have to talk about it, because sex is a gift, but can also be a gigantic burden in marriage if you don't talk about it.
Right.
And so it's only 4 quick questions. It talks about your desire for each other, because if for some reason, if you don't have a sexual desire for who you're wanting to marry or who you are married to, then something has to be talked through. Yeah. There's something blocking that. There's something unhealthy going on there. It talks about who do you want to initiate sex in marriage. Nobody ever talks about that, right? I think everyone just assumes it's going to be the dudes, right? Like,
I mean, yeah.
Like
let's be honest.
But like, here's the thing. Let me speak for men. Let me help some guys out.
Yeah.
We also like to be pursued.
Hallelujah.
Right? It does. It builds confidence, right?
Yeah.
So there's something in
it does.
but like most like in this example that they did here, the woman says you, meaning she expects her future husband, to be the initiator of sex. He says both. That tells you exactly what I was saying. Women want to be pursued. That's why they want us to initiate sex. Men also like to be pursued, because if not, it feels like we're always the ones like trying to go after it, and it's like
you can almost feel bad at a sense. You're like, gosh, like what's wrong with me?
Why does she not come after me ever? Why does she never pursue me? Like, and it does that. That beats a guy down mentally.
It does.
Like, because let's just like some men, you get married. Trust me, I've been on this journey. You're not nearly as athletic as you once were, and so you start being like, good Lord, I can't do what I used to be able to do on the softball field or the basketball court, and you start losing your hair, and you gain some weight, and then all of a sudden at the same time, this person that used to be crazy about you no longer pursues you anymore, and men won't talk about it, but that is incredibly damaging to them, because they start thinking, what's wrong with me? So it does, and then it even sets expectations for how often you're going to have sex in marriage. It goes ahead and sets that, because if you can know what your partner expects, then you know how you can best serve them, and because that's meant to be a gift. But if you don't have those conversations, then what was meant to be a gift can absolutely become a burden. It goes through your attitude. It goes through what your spouse is like when you're facing a challenge, which is a really nice thing to know. It goes through communication. It goes through the differences in the sexes and genders. It goes through your top 5 needs in relationship. I mean, this thing, it really is.
It is so stinking
so
in depth.
comprehensive.
It really is.
Personal conflicts. These are hot topics. I love this section right here. It says, these are the things right here. When you bring this up, just know I'm not starting at 0 on this topic.
Yeah.
I am passionate about this. So that could be things like chores, priority. Like some people, like, look, I'm passionate about the chores. So if you want to bring up who's going to mop the floors or whatever, just know I'm not starting at 0. I'm starting at 5 on this, or like I'm passionate about sex, or I'm passionate about money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just good to know that about your partner. The way you know those topics, that if you want to make a little comment about this, that's a sore subject. And then it closes with a talk on spirituality, which you mentioned earlier. And you actually answer the question, do you attend church weekly? Do you go to the same church? Because if you're married, that's kind of a big deal.
It is.
Do you discuss spiritual issues? Do you receive communion regularly together? Do you agree on theology? Will you give a financial tithe and or offering, which is a big deal in marriage?
It is.
I can't tell you how many people that they are not on the same page financially with their spouse, and they're Christians. That's a disaster for your marriage. Do you pray for each other?
Mm-hmm.
Do you pray together every day? This one right here, when Megan and I was going through it, we were like, do we do it every day? No. Do we do it any day? And we're like, outside of praying for meals and praying as a family, like when our kids are with us, we were not having that time.
Yeah.
And so that's been one of those things. Okay, just tell our counselors now, we're not good at doing it every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
do it now. Like, it is a part. Like, I don't know. We're not the most disciplined people in some areas. Like when it comes to work and stuff, we're super disciplined people. Outside of this, like, we just kind. I don't know. Yeah. We just kind of, I don't have hair to let down, but we kind of let our hair down when it comes to that.
And not to give pastors like a pass or anything like that, but a lot of what our job requires of us is whenever we are preparing stuff for our work, we do spend a lot of time in prayer. We do spend a lot of time in reading the word and worshiping. And so it kind of goes back to like having like those cutoff moments to where like, like whenever I turn off Pastor Jared moment and I'm becoming dad, or I'm becoming babe to my, like going home and being husband to my wife. It's like there's parts of my mind that need to be switched off because I don't need to be worrying about work.
Right.
I need to be worrying about being in the moment with my kids and making sure that they understand that I'm there for them. Same thing with my wife. But there's still a section of my brain that I still need to leave on, and that is always, always, always pursuing God in everything that I'm doing. And if I'm pursuing God as a worship pastor, I should be pursuing God as a dad, as a husband, and if I can lead a team of people to Jesus, I should be able to lead my children to Jesus and lead my wife to Jesus. And sometimes, like, this is just a blanket statement. I'm not trying to point fingers,
right?
But sometimes we, as pastors, tend to turn that part of our lives off, and that is a very, very, very slippery slope that I am finding that I need to be more diligent in leading my wife and leading my kids to a relationship, to a deeper relationship with Jesus than I am my team. I love the team. Yeah. I love my team tremendously. They sacrifice and they give so much. But God specifically honored my prayers for putting a woman and a family in my life that I need to do whatever I need to do to lead them to Jesus. And that's what it's ultimately about, you know, like how are you leading Scott to Jesus, and how is Scott leading you to Jesus? And that is the ultimate basis for a strong relationship. I love this Simbas thing is exciting. I think that just being able to talk a lot more in depth about it, because we've mentioned it a couple times in service, and in pre-service videos and whatever, but going a little bit in depth and trying to get people just like an understanding of like what they can expect. But then we also got to tell people where they can go to sign up for this. And it's going to come at no surprise, everybody, that we are going to point you to src.life/marriage. Yep. I'm telling you, we are getting into this era of ministry here at Southridge to where there's going to be no excuses. Like, if you are struggling with something, we're going to be able to give you the resources and point you and walk alongside of you in any area of life. And the way that you could start off by doing anything is, if you're serious about your relationship, if you are already married, or if you are talking with your partner about getting married, let's start it off on the right note, on the right steps, or get onto the right steps and go through this Simbas thing. I think it's just going to be so super beneficial just because of the importance of marriage. I mean, the Bible talks about it. Love your wife the way that Jesus loved the church. I mean, there's so many different scriptures that the Bible talks about marriage and the importance of it, but also in the relationship to how God and Jesus function with us here on earth. It's just a great testament of love. And what better way to learn about those things than from the guy who's you look up love and the definition is God. Like, God is the definition of love. Not love is the definition of God. God is love. God is love.
Yeah, and so this push to really create healthy marriages in our church is going to also be bolstered by some other aspects as well. So the next thing Megan and I are going to be doing as a couple is getting certified, not just as counselors for the Simbas process, but also as certified marriage mentors. Which is a different process. This is more of like a long-term process where one couple will meet with another couple over the course of like a year or so. And so what we're doing is actually we're going to get, to start with, try to get 5 couples involved in that process to go through the mentoring process, or to be certified mentors. And then we'll be able to offer marriage mentoring in addition to the marriage counseling. And then we're also going to be doing marriage conferences at least yearly here at Southridge. Just we feel a real burden to help marriages thrive at Southridge Church. And so there's a marriage conference coming up in May. It's a Friday night and a Saturday morning, just a couple of hours for you to pour into your marriage. And I'll say that we're doing all that. We're doing the counseling. We're doing the mentoring. We're doing the sermon series on it from time to time. We're doing the conference. But I'll look right into the camera when I say this. If you don't work it, it ain't going to work. So, like, your church could be doing all this stuff for marriages. And if you stay away from all of it, you won't sign up for the assessment. You won't go through a mentoring process or counseling. You won't go to the conference. You won't pour into your marriage. Then it ain't going to work.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
just one of
what it
those
comes
things.
down to.
It's one of those things. It's just like anything else in life. If you want something to work and last, and to be meaningful, you've got to put time equity in it, and it's just super important.
Yep.
I love it. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I don't know. I got pumped up at the end. My heart's kind of racing a little bit, but that's good. Maybe it's because I'm also excited about the mystery meat. Because
Ooh.
Did you already pre-pick it?
no, I haven't.
Okay, good.
I forgot
I
about the
haven't,
mystery
so I'm just
meat.
gonna give it
What's your favorite mystery meat? Not this, but like literally, what's your favorite mystery meat?
spam. Is that what you
Are
want?
you serious?
You don't. I
You're
don't
not
know.
serious.
I mean, I don't know. It's,
You like
You like
Spam?
spam?
yeah, it's an acronym. Do you know that?
No.
It's called. My acronym for it is not what it is. So the real acronym for it is spiced ham, but I call it some parts are meat. Because it's just the random bits that they put together and just loaf it together.
It literally has the.
bologna and hot dogs are the same way.
I love it. It's
I do
great.
too.
Like
You
spam?
like spam?
No. Bologna and hot dogs, not spam. No way.
Have you? When's the last time you had it?
When I was
Spam?
a kid.
You had spam?
Oh, as a kid for sure.
What?
Have you never tried it?
No. Gross.
We're doing it.
No, we're not.
Doing it.
No,
we're doing
we're
it
not.
tomorrow for lunch.
It's
I'm
not
gonna eat
happening.
that.
It's not
I
happening.
don't like it. I had it as a kid.
Gross.
Because our family ate stuff like that at times.
I love
But
it.
Nah, I'm out on that, bro.
Nope.
I think it's fantastic.
Nope.
Dude, and like you go to Hawaii, they do like all kinds of meals with it.
There's a place around here.
They're like
that
they speak my
has a
language and they put it
Hawaiian-
with like rice.
Well, there's a place around here that has a Hawaiian influence and has spam on a lot of stuff. I cannot think of what
I don't know,
place that
but
was.
I
here
did not
locally,
expect
but
you
I
to say
saw
that. What?
This is not a.
Can you
this is
pick
not
a different one if
fun
it's not
one.
very good?
Now I feel like I should read it because this is not. There's not like a whole lot of stuff that we could debate about this. It's just like you pick one or the other, and then we're gonna wrap up the series. So, is Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper better? That is-
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Dr. Pepper. Unless it's
Yes.
Code Red. I had a thing for Code Red back in the day.
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh, you don't care?
If somebody says here you go, here's one or the other, it
Ew.
doesn't matter.
See,
yeah,
I
that's
would
why I said yes.
much rather
Yeah.
have a Dr.
Because
Pepper.
I like them both. Actually, I really like them together in
Gross.
fountain drink form. Like
Gross.
Yeah.
you go get a fountain drink. I like to call it Dr. Dew.
Dude,
Half Dr. Pepper, half Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
It's fire, man.
We could literally
It's
not
so
be more
good.
different.
in Texas, they have Big Red everywhere. I've given you
yeah.
one of those.
Yeah.
So it's just like a red cream soda, but we called it Dr. Big Red Dew, and it was
You would do all three of those?
all three of them. It was,
I'll try that out.
yeah.
I would try that.
Nope.
Yeah,
was
I
good.
like, and I've actually had other people try it, and most of them have said that they like it.
Yeah.
But when I ordered at a restaurant, like I'll be like, can I get half Mountain Dew, half Dr. Pepper? And the waitress always looks at me like, you want a Mountain Dew and a Dr. Pepper? I'm like,
Yeah, half and half.
no, half and half. They're like,
Like an Arnold
I
Palmer,
said, it's
but
called
with
Dr.
Mountain
Dew.
Dew and
Like I
Dr.
made it
Pepper.
up, you know. So
That's
they
so
always
good.
give me like a funny look, but that is my I do like that the best.
One time my mom ordered a club soda with lime at a restaurant. And they came back and said, we don't have the ingredients to make that.
It's
Like,
just
it's
seltzer water.
Club
Yeah,
soda.
they thought it was a mixed drink.
Oh,
It was
my
funny. It just made
goodness.
me think
It
of
was
that.
was so funny because one of my favorite comedians, Aaron Weber, has a joke about
Oh, yeah.
going out, and he
That's
like
funny.
he was raised in a like real sheltered environment, and he goes out to a club when he's like 21 or something, and he
Oh, he
said,
got a fake ID, he said. So
oh
he
yeah,
wasn't
that's
21.
right. He had a fake ID, so he shouldn't even have been there. And he's like, he said, I ordered the club soda. I thought it was like their house drink or something.
Said he got like 12 of them.
He's like, I had like 11 of them. He's like, I thought that I was, getting wild. He said, come to find out, I was just really hydrated for the first time in my life.
That's so funny.
It was funny because then Linda literally had that experience where they're like, oh yeah, club soda. No, we don't know how to make that. And
That's like a waitress coming up and go, you can't order that. You're not even a member of the club. And it's
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's just a club soda.
I want to be in the club.
it's like, you
Yeah.
don't have the proper jacket on for the club soda.
Yeah.
That's just a really, when I remember that was at a travel baseball tournament. We were in Kentucky, and we had a good laugh about that because Linda looks at this lady. She's like very confused. Like,
Yeah.
What did I order?
I just
Like,
want
it's
bubbly
just-
water, please.
It's just 2 ingredients. It's what you already have in the fountain drinks
And the CO2.
with some
Lime.
Yeah.
So it's just like
Well, it's water with CO2 and
Because-
lime.
because it was
And-
like, wait, do you not have limes? Is that what you mean? It's like, no, we don't know how to make a club soda. This isn't a club. This is a restaurant.
we have restaurant soda.
Yeah. So it was just like that's such a funny idea, and I'd never thought of that until that happened.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, thanks for having us.
Dr. Big Red Dude. Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. Once again, if you want to sign up for the marriage counseling through this Symbis that we have, go to src.live/marriage. Or if you have more questions about it, maybe through this conversation, maybe just raise some questions that you just want us to talk about, or just reach out to Scott or Megan, myself. We'll give you the right answers to those questions to maybe alleviate just maybe some holdbacks that you may have by doing this. But we promise you, this is going to be the best way to start off your marriage. It's going to be the best way to strengthen a good marriage, and this is going to be the best way to strengthen a great marriage. And continue to grow and learn together and learn how to love on each other, love each other. And so, yeah, we'll talk about like church terms maybe for another.
Oh, put me down for that, please.
Yeah. So, yeah.
House of the Lord.
I don't know if you'll catch that, but love on each other. Just think about that for a second. All right. Y'all have a great day. The pastor's potluck. Y'all have a good day. Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and you can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.